All right, and welcome, Hoosier fans, to the IU Hoops halftime report as your Indiana Hoosiers up 41-30 on Florida State here at the half. Obviously, just a great half for Indiana. After a really poor start, Indiana played so well over the final 16 minutes. It's pretty easy to forget how poorly Indiana started the game, where they were down 11-4 and nothing was going right until Armaan Franklin hit that step back 3-pointer. And, really on the defensive end, Florida State was getting whatever they wanted. They were getting the ball inside. They were penetrating. They were getting it into the post. And things really turned after that first time out. And I thought, Archie Miller went to the bench, put Devante Green in, Race Thompson, Demezy Anderson. You don't usually associate Demezy Anderson with a defensive turnaround, but I thought that group really brought a lot of intensity and toughness on the defensive end. Devante Green really picked up Florida State's point guard, out far, was, really getting into him. I thought Demezy really did a nice job of keeping his man in front of him. Obviously, Race, with the toughness on the block, and I thought that really set the tone. And Indiana would obviously go on that 12-0 run, which was capped by Armaan Franklin getting another bucket, had a nice little layup. And then from there, Devante Green just took over, and it wasn't just the shooting. Obviously, the three-pointers were fantastic. He made 3 of them, his last 3 after missing his first 2. But some of the passes that Devante made to set up Trace Jackson Davis, to set up Justin Smith for easy buckets, those were huge. And, just a great first half for Devante, 14 points, 3 assists. Most importantly, no turnovers for Devante. Really, a half where he was able to make some of the big splashy plays and eliminate some of the bad ones. And, he's always on a razor's edge. Those passes that he got through to Trace and Justin, they were close and maybe they could have been deflected, but he got them through. And obviously, the 3-point shots, those fell. So Devante, just really, really good. And the other thing that I really liked as the half went on is I thought Al Durham really committed to playing downhill more. I thought one of the issues Indiana was having offensively is that everything on the perimeter was just, passing around the perimeter, pass. And look, that's, Florida State's a really good defensive team. They're going to deny, they're going to get out, they're going to make it difficult on you. And I thought, from the first possession of the game, Al had a wide open lane to take it and didn't, and decided to run the offense instead. And that's great. Like, you have a plan for the half court. You want to run the offense. But, daylight against a defense like Florida State is going to be tough to get. And I thought Al shied away from a few of those opportunities early. And then he didn't. Obviously, he missed that one dunk. But, and just maybe lay it in. But, the announcers talked about this. To Al's credit, he went in there to attack. And that's the kind of mentality that he's got to have. Al is so much better when he's playing downhill, when he's, getting fouled. And he only got fouled once and missed the free throws. But I just thought his mentality helped and kind of opened things up for his teammates, And so on a day when Rob Phinissee's not in there, I thought Indiana's guards really did a nice job of protecting the ball. Only 2 turnovers between Al and Armaan. And they have, between all the guards, 6 assists. So 6 assists, 2 turnovers. You can live with that. Obviously Indiana has had a couple of those live ball turnovers that Florida State went the other way on, gave them just easy points. You want to try and eliminate those. But all in all, a really solid half there. And I really thought the keys for Indiana were going to be free throw attempts, turnovers, and rebounds. That's where Indiana would win this game. So far, Indiana has taken 12 free throws. They've only made 7 of them, so we got to get that percentage up. But we've taken 12 free throws. Florida State's taken 9. So Indiana doing a relatively good job of defending with discipline and not fouling. So check. You got that. From a rebounding perspective, Indiana out-rebounding Florida State on the offensive end. We have 5 offensive rebounds. They have 2. Doing a better job on the defensive glass as well. So there's another check mark. And then from a turnover perspective, Florida State has 6. We have 6. Battled them to a draw. I will take that as a win, because turning teams over is a big part of what Florida State wants to do defensively. For Indiana, obviously, it's nice to turn teams over, but that's not necessarily how our defense is set up. Our defense is set up to be tough to penetrate against, tough to get inside against. There are going to be some openings on the perimeter, but hopefully you're closing out and at least making those challenge shots. And I thought after the start, Indiana really did a good job of doing that. The connectedness on defense, the effort, in help situations, the focus on closeouts, really for the final 16 minutes of the half was as good and consistent as we've seen it all season long. So whether that was just, needing to play against a good team to get, properly motivated, or, getting the energy in the building, or whatever it was, that defense that we saw over the last 16 minutes was fantastic. And that's what it's got to be like for opponents coming into Simon Scott Assembly Hall. Make it really tough on them like that. So kudos, really to everybody who got out there. I thought everybody, contributed positively. Duran obviously had a rough go of it with a couple of fouls, both of which were kind of questionable. But I thought everybody else, Jerome Hunter too, didn't really make a mark on offense, but I thought had some good defensive possessions. Now, here's what I'm a little bit concerned about. Indiana 4 of 7 from downtown. Obviously, Devante with the 3 threes. That's huge. I don't think we're going to repeat that. And if you take, those 3-pointers out of there, it's a relatively close game, obviously. And so I think, Florida State's going to tighten the screws defensively. I still think from an offensive perspective, I have a feeling there will be a few droughts in the second half where they really turn it up. Maybe we're not getting, some of those outside shots. It's tough to get the ball inside. How do we respond to that? Is the defense good enough to hold up and not let Florida State go on a run when the offense is struggling a little bit? And are we able to go to a plan B, go to a plan C, find ways to get the ball inside, find ways to manufacture points like with offensive rebounds? Justin Smith has had a couple of really nice putbacks. Trace Jackson Davis has done a good job. So if we're not getting points out of the regular offense, and if there aren't transition opportunities, are we able to scrape together some buckets by just kind of being tough and gritty? Because that's what's going to win this game. I don't foresee us winning this game by double digits. I think Florida State is a good team. They've already been down this year and come back. I think they will grind their way back into it, and I think this is going to be a competitive game. It's obviously nice to have the 11-point cushion, and are we ready for that? Are we ready to do that for 40 minutes? That's now my question, because we've seen good spurts from this team, but we haven't often seen a good first half followed up by a good second half and vice versa. Today, we got the good first half. Now, can we go back to being that team that we were the first, 5 games of the season, where we were really a much better second half team? That's what I want to see. And also, just a little bit concerned with the guard fatigue. I think they're a little bit deeper in their backcourt, obviously, than we are, with only 3 guys who can really handle the ball confidently. Those are tough minutes playing Florida State. I think that's why you're seeing Archie really rotate those guys in and out, even on offense. I mean, those are tough minutes handling the ball, tough minutes driving it inside, and then you got to go play tough defense on the other end. Is Armand, Devante, are those guys ready, to be able to do that for 40 minutes? So those are some of the concerns I have. But, man, that first half obviously couldn't have gone better. Really pleased with how hard the guys played, how connected they played, and just how, they had counters for what Florida State threw at them from an offensive perspective. So really, really pleased. Hope we see more of that in the second half. But more importantly, as Florida State kind of grinds their way back, do we have answers? Are we ready to meet them from a toughness perspective, both mentally and physically? If we are, we're going to get our first big win of the season and send the Simon Scott Assembly Hall faithful home happily. So hopefully that's what happens. We will obviously be back here on the post-game show to talk with you about it. Andy will be here. Ryan will be here. Really looking forward to that. Thanks to everybody who was here for the halftime report. And, good question, too, or good comment from Coach about the, fatigue. Florida State has played 3 games in 5 days. So maybe I'm overplaying that a little bit and just looking at it from the IU perspective, and just knowing that we only have those 3, ball handlers out there. Florida State, they may be fighting a little bit of that too. And maybe that's contributed a little bit to what we saw in the first half. So good point from Coach. But let's go. Let's see more of it in the second half, fellas. Talk to you guys on the postgame show.